Alright, what's up guys? Stone here. I'm gonna start just... Alright guys, Stone here. Today, on Learn You Some Animation, I'm gonna learn you how to do some blood particles! Woohoo! Now, I know there's a lot of tutorials out there on how to do this, but there's gonna be some small details that I think that a lot of them either fail to cover or don't cover simply because they haven't done it before themselves. So, I'll get into that, but if you're like me, when I'm going through a tutorial, I want to first know that what it is I'm doing is going to be worth my time. So, I'll go ahead and save you the misery of having to skip forward ahead and seeing what it is, and just check the link below. You can see the final result and see if that's something that you want to learn or what you want to go for, and we'll kind of go from there. I'm going to kind of also use this time just kind of like chat and hang out with you guys, discuss various topics and things that may be going on in my life or in the world in general, because I think, you know, it's more fun to do something like this and teach you guys at the same time than do like gameplay or something like that of a game, because that's everyone does that, right? So let's do something that I'm good at, right? Or at least somewhat? Yeah, I guess? Question mark? Alright, so what we're going to do today is to do the blood particles. And what I like to do, first of all, the program I'm using is Flash CC, but I would also say that using Flash 8 is just as good, or any of the Flash CS versions. I'm using Flash CC because I'm paying for it, and it's the one that I have, and yeah. So, anyways, let's go ahead and get started. I won't actually do a time lapse or anything like that. We'll just kind of go through, and I'll chat and hang out, and you can see my actual process on how I do it. If you hear anything like sound in the background right now, it's because it's like 305 degrees outside and my AC's on, so I apologize in advance for that if I can't edit that out. But, anyways, so first of all, what we want to start off with is this kind of like spiderwebby, spiky looking spurt. This is usually your point of impact, and what we're going to do today is actually a non-directional blood spurt. And what I mean by that is it doesn't go out this way and fall down, or go up and fall straight down. It just kind of goes out in every direction and in every which way, and the particles will apply gravity slightly, but they'll dissipate very quickly, and there's a reason for that. You know, if you're working on multiple different, let's say, impacts, and you want to animate, or you shouldn't have to animate, a fresh blood particle effect for each individual one. So what you want to do is have these non-directional particle effects in graphics, and maybe do like 2 or 3 different ones, and then I'll show you a neat trick we can do where it makes it look like you have a unique blood effect, but realistically you only created 1 or 2 of these. But starting out, generally speaking, I want to make this into a graphic. I'm just going to call it blood 1. And you can call it whatever you want. See if I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to extend the frames out here just to give me some room to work with. Slap on my onion skin. I might want to change my brush size, kind of play around to see what I feel comfortable with, what I want to do. But really what we want to do starting off is we're going to extend out these little feelers, right? So this is our initial spurt, and I'm going to just kind of extend out each one of these. Right, our initial point of impact, our initial, you know, impact starter point here. I'm gonna kind of throw out some of these, get them going out there. Throw out some dots as well, varying size and distances. Now that we have that going, oops, just smooth it out a little bit. Now, this is where it gets fun. So, you know, if I'm animating this and I'm trying to keep track of literally every single one of these spurts all at once, I'm gonna lose track of the distance for each one of the frames. I'm gonna lose track, not necessarily visually, but there's this weird inner magic that happens that when you're animating and you're in the zone, you tend to get, your brain just starts to make a pattern and go, hey, I remember doing this. And you're able to keep track of variables within your mind of the physics and elasticity and length and stuff like that very close to the front of your memory, meaning like it's right literally at your fingertips. So when you're doing, you know, 15 or 20 different of these little dots and lines and all that, you can start to lose that magic. So to help that, and to keep things simple, I like to just go through and animate each one of these lines at a time. Now you might say, okay, that's insanity, but look how fast I'm able to go through with that. I mean, that's pretty quick. And I'm able to add more variance. You see how I made this spurt go out further, last a little bit longer, and I eased it out at a different pace than the other one. Like this one I might have go short and stay up for a while. What? Onion skin died. Rest in peace, headphone users. And then, you know, have it drop sooner. And you could add more and more variants like that. Now I'll go through, just add some of these, just singular dots. And if you have errors like that, it's fine. Like, there's going to be so much blood spattering going around that those kind of errors actually shouldn't show up as much. Have a thicker one here. Have it arc out further. I'm not going to want to go too much into the gravity of things. Just to kind of a little bit to imply it. I want the spurts to kind of dissipate before we actually get into that. And I'll explain why we do that later. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the new channel. Well, I guess what I'm going to say is that I'm going to go into kind of just hanging out chat. Because now I'm just going to repeat the same process over and over and over again. I'm going to go through and add more and more of these. I'm hitting, what you're seeing me do too, if I'm going like this back and forth, I'm hitting the comma and period on my keyboard, which cycles through the frames. And that gives me a visual kind of feel for what my next frame is going to be like. It gives me a feeling for, okay, how much is it shrinking? How fast is it how far is it traveling? How fast is it getting there? It gives you a sense of motion. A lot of times in other animation tutorials and stuff like that, even for real life animation where they're using a pad and paper, you'll see them actually flipping back and forth through their sheets of paper over and over again very quickly. And this is to fulfill that same purpose, to give them that feeling of the movement, that magic that I like to call. I don't think anyone else calls it that, but you know, what else? It's my own thing. We're all self-taught here for the most part, right? I mean, there's some of you out here that are watching me right now that are professionally taught, or even just gods, and they're like, God, look at this guy, he's such a scrub. Oh my God. But for those of you who are like me and who actually are genuine self-taught scrubs, or even just a scrub that wants to know more about animation, which we've all been there. I'm still there. I'm out here teaching this stuff as if, you know, I really know what I'm talking about, but the reality of it is I give you some bare bones knowledge of what I know, or what I've learned over the years, and then you can go ahead and take it and then expand upon it and be 100 times better than me within a week. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen it happen time and time again, and I'm totally okay with that. It just destroys my soul just a little bit, but that's fine. I mean, I don't really need a soul, right? I mean, I can always, I don't know. Anyways, so I'm gonna go through and continue doing this, but as you know, this channel is fairly new. I hope you guys enjoy it so far. I'd like to do these on a regular basis because I love doing tutorials. I love teaching. I think it's a valuable resource to kind of, I think what I've learned is a valuable resource that I hope to share with you all throughout this channel. So I hope that you guys kind of like this kind of like chilled, laid back tutorial experience where you get to watch me do the whole process and you can skip back and forth through as much as you want, you know, and maybe I'll even put the download link for the FLA so you can go back and reference it. Don't copy it, God, don't copy it, but you can, you know, I mean, reference it. You know, it doesn't do any good to copy and put it out there and be like, I did this thing, you know, because I mean, sure, they might believe you and whatever, but get the real satisfaction out of it, man. Learn how to do this, and then recreate it on your own a million times better. You know what I mean? But anyways, new channel. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I'd like to continue these. As you can see by my short that I put out, I'm playing that Pogo, as people at least in my area are calling it, Pokemon Go. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it for the exercise aspect of it, because honestly, I thought I was going to wither away in this chair and die by, you know, due to some blood clotting or something when I'm like 30. You know what I mean? So to get to have something that not only gets me outside but rewards me for being outside is a lot of fun, and I like, you know, kind of joining these little like sub communities and stuff and meeting local people in the area that kind of share this interest that I think a lot of us, you know, obviously I've been doing games and animations for quite some time now, and so I've always been a total nerd, and now it's like super cool to be a total nerd. I'm gonna go ahead and save this right now, because one thing you should know is that Flash likes to crash, and if you already know that, then you should probably be saving it every like 30 seconds ago, every 30 seconds or so. Even though that sounds obnoxious, just kind of make it part of your routine. You know, like as I'm doing these, going back and forth, every once in a while I'm just like Control S, Control S, Control S. Just try not to forget that Flash hates you and it wants to try and destroy your life. And that's what its real goal is here. It's like, yeah, I'm an animation program first and foremost, but let's be real, I'm here to destroy your life. So, anyways, let's keep going through. Add some more of these particles in here. Whoop! Sometimes the brush sensitivity goes bananas and does that. Change my brush size up. But anyways, yeah, Pokemon Go seems to be fun. I don't have as much time as a lot of people do, so it's kind of sad to me to watch some people who are just like crushing it. They're like level 30 or something like that, which is just, I mean, I can't be mad at them. I'm just jealous, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'd love to have 7 Dragonites and have walked 300k, but I gotta draw stick figures, man. I gotta keep drawing stick figures, you know what I mean? So we're getting to that point now where I probably have about enough particles. I know this looks like a lot, like, whoa, this is so much, but honestly, when I go to play this back, it gets thin really quick, and we're gonna kind of buffer that up. I developed this little technique I like to do where I kind of like connect some of these lines together, and it kind of creates this liquid elasticity effect on the blood, which, you know, it should be. It's liquid and elastic. It should have some sort of like liquid tendencies to it, and that's kind of like where I just connect these webs together, and then I use them as a guideline to keep my spacing correct. So you see how like I'm connecting these 2 lines together here and filling that in, and it's kind of creating a bridge, and then I break that bridge apart. I know that was kind of fast, but I'm going to go through it a million times over here. So again, we're following this one and this one, these 2 spurts, and I'm creating that web in between them. See that? And then you can connect these other webs too. I'm connecting that first one. Round it off a little bit. See? Snazzy, right? Okay. You might be saying to yourself, wow, that's either really cool, or what the hell, that's gonna look like crap. And you might be right, but you know, like, this is my imperfect, perfect system. By that I mean, I've seen success with it, so I thought I'd share it with you. See, now that they're getting further apart, I'm gonna start making that bond between the 2 thinner, adding some more particles behind it to show the fact that these 2 things have separated, you know, like that. And then I give those dots their own falling physics to add more variety to what you're doing. It's all about variety. But see how I'm just focusing on 1 or 2 things at a time. So my brain is super small, and I have a hard time with, you know, thinking. So to make it easy on myself, I just take the very first lesson that I think I ever learned, which was kiss. Not how to kiss. Like, I didn't know how to do that until I was like 40, but keep it simple, stupid. You know, we're not smart. Our brains might be smart, and some of you guys might be smart, but I'm not smart. So I gotta keep it simple. I gotta kiss, keep it simple, stupid, because if I don't, I'm gonna get lost, and it's gonna look bad, and then I'm gonna hit play, and I'm gonna get discouraged, and then I'm gonna cry, and then I'm gonna go to Turquoise's channel and just try to like soak up my tears with his talent and hopefully re-ingest those tears and become something decent. But if that doesn't happen, if we do keep it simple, then we might see some success, at least somewhat, to be like, hey, I kind of like that. I can stomach that today. That looks like something I could enjoy. And that's what it's all about, right? Because another thing I guess I can go on a rant about a little bit is that everyone's always like, how do you stay inspired? Like, how do you stay with a project? And that's probably the hardest lesson to learn in animation, is how to stay with your project. How do even if you're proud of something, how do you continue working on it for like 300, 400, 500 hours? At a certain point, you just like, I want to do something else. Like, I feel like this isn't as good anymore because you can't see the value in it anymore. You just can't see the quality because you're blind to it because you've been staring at it for so long. A lot of it comes from self-fueled inspiration, where like you're sitting here and I'm doing this monotonous stuff, you know, but you begin to become inspired by your own work, which guess what you have an endless supply of if you're continuing to animate? Your own work. So it's a beautiful system, you know? So I surprise myself constantly, whether it's good or bad, with what I'm animating all the time. And like right now I'm getting a pretty good feel for this blood spurt. I think it's gonna look fairly decent. And if not, I guess you can at least still take some of the knowledge out of it. You know, you see this is starting to look pretty, right? Like you can see how this is starting to look neat. Maybe. Hopefully. But you see we started all just with just little lines and dots all over the place. And we're kind of turning it into like this really neat looking actual spurty, elastic, liquidy blood chunk stuff from just dots, you know? And I'm just going all the way through one at a time. And if you're still hanging out here if you're still hanging out here listening to me jabber on, I appreciate it. You know, I'm sure there's one or two of you out here that have watched this up to this point because you're watching something on Netflix or you're scrolling Facebook or, you know, just kind of have me on while you're baking cookies in the kitchen or something like that. Either way, that's pretty neat, man. I hope to have something exciting at the end of this for you. I really hope this turns out. It feels like it's gonna, you know, as dumb as that sounds. Sometimes when you've done this, you do this so many times, you start to just know as you go through with your animation before you export it or even look at it if it's going to be any good. And I like to kind of like save it to the end. Like I like to save it as long as I can before I export because I feel like I'm savoring it, you know? It's like opening your presents all at once on Christmas right away. It's like, yeah, that's great! And you get the satisfaction right away, but then it starts to linger and go away, and then you realize Christmas is over and there's nothing exciting for another year. So I kind of like to savor that moment and wait to export it to get the feel. But guess what? We're almost there. I think this is a good point to stop and probably open this present of exporting. So let's see what we got. Usually with a blood spurt like this, it's going to start out fast and then go slow, right? So let's start framing it up. And by that I mean I'm going to add double and triple frames. Disclaimer. There's this unpopular notion, or this popular notion out there that double framing, triple framing, things like that is lazy. That's wrong. It's not lazy, okay? It is an animation technique that is used. Yes, some can view it as laziness, but it also does serve a purpose. Anyways, and disclaimer. For now, I'm going to add some frames in, slow the end of it down. That's going to give it that oomph we want, right? So let's start it out. And at this point, when it starts to become mostly dots, that's when I begin adding my doubles. And then let's wrap it up with some triple frames. Now this extends it out quite a bit. And maybe I'll go back and show you what it looks like before. Actually, no, let's do that now. Let's see what it looks like before double framing. Oh, gotta extend the graphic out. So what, 16 frames? So it's yeah, 16 frames. Okay. Oh, it looks pretty. I like it. That came out pretty good. Make it big. That's pretty nice, right? Like I could sometimes you don't need to double and triple. So maybe just having looked at that, maybe I'll do a little bit less. But now let's go through. Let's start by right here. I like to have the particles linger for a little while. Yeah, that gives it more smack to it, and that's what we want. Let's extend this out. You know, I'm extending it out a few distances because I want to do a couple different things. So now that we have this, right? We have this decent looking spurt, blood spurt. But the thing is I took so much time on that, and I like it, but I have a whole animation here where I have like 20 or 30 different hits happening within 10 seconds. And I don't want to use the same exact blood sprite over and over again because it's just going to look like the exact same thing. However, there's a fancy smancy way to do it and save yourself a bunch of time, and it'll still look good. And what we're going to do is, so we have our plain Jane Spurt, right? But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a completely unique one just simply by copying that graphic and placing it on top of itself, rotate and skewing it. I'm going to modify, flip horizontally. Now I'm going to lay this over on top of itself, and now we have a more unique, even more full looking blood effect just simply by overlapping another one on top of it and resizing it. Pretty, am I right? It looks pretty juicy. And then you can change the resizes up. You can even take one that's unique sized, like these. This is 2 of that same blood sprite over here, just uniquely resized. Now I did omnidirectional, so we can, to a certain degree, we can angle it a little bit to give us a little bit more leverage. So I'm going to have one that's be a little bit larger, but I'm going to tilt it a little bit. Variety. So with that alone, you can make a whole assortment of blood sprites for your animation or game very quickly and effectively, and the viewer won't just look at it as it's playing and be like, ew, that's the same blood sprite over and over again. It won't look visually appalling. Does that make sense? Visually appalling. Anyways, guys, that is the very first episode of Learn You Something, or Learn You Some Animation. And I hope you learned something. Hope to see you again next time, guys. See you later.